That sounds like a Cotter song from centuries ago. Thank you, everyone. We will go straight to the Hauraki Coromandel Destination Management Plan, page 472 in your agendas. And we'll open this up. Have we got Councillor Gottlieb? Gary, you back with us?
Yes, I am. I just had to unlock my sound. I've got someone outside with the machine, so that's why I put it on.
Thank you. Okay, so we'll make a start. And who's driving this? Is it Lorna or Mitch? Mitch, welcome. Thank you. Over to you.
Thank you, Mayor, councillors. So this report is asking you to receive the Hauraki Coromandel Destination Management Plan. You will have seen the draft version of it, an earlier draft version of it. The version attached to this document is the latest copy. I'll take the report as read, but just highlight I guess the most critical parts of why we're bringing this to you today. We are the last region, or one of the last regions in the country to really have the report presented to council. We were delayed by COVID and then, of course, the storms. The report was 90% completed before the storms. And, of course, last 2023 was all about recovery. So it's here in its final version. It will be a living document. As the needs of the community and the industry change, the document will continue to be updated. It is something that we share with Hauraki District Council, Destination Hauraki Coromandel, the industry and community as well. So the outcomes of the report are shared outcomes. The report is DHC's role, I guess, has just been to facilitate and coordinate the plan.
Thank you, Mitch. Can I just ask, has Hauraki District Council, has this come before their council at the moment, or is that yet to happen?
So the Hauraki have seen the report in its draft form, and they haven't formally adopted the plan, but they do support the plan.
Thank you. Thank you. So the motion is to receive the report. What I might do is ask for a mover and a seconder, and then we'll open it for discussion before we go any further. So Robin and Terry, thank you. We have a mover and a seconder. I'll open it for discussion, unless you've got anything else to add, Lorna.
Just as it says in the report, it's signposted by the government that destination management plans are a really good way to connect with the government and demonstrate that there's been a lot of thinking from the different districts around how they will manage their destinations. It will help with when we have cases for looking to external funding, to have this shared pathway of how we will all work together. Just want to also acknowledge that Destination Hauraki Coromandel were funded to pull this plan together. It has had engagement with a lot of different areas. We are doing a review of Destination Hauraki Coromandel, and a report is coming back to the council in April around the funding and functions of that. This plan is separate to that, and whoever manages the destination management activity will be responsible for sort of helping to bring this plan back. As we say, it's a living document, so that will be part of that responsibility.
So thank you, and that helps to clarify. So I think what I'm sensing is that there may be a feeling that the plan is not perfect, but it is an important conduit between our activities as a council and what we want to achieve, and potentially external funding, and that it's up to us to work our way through it as a living document and to get it to a place where it needs to be. So that's my initial feeling. We've got Robin and then Peter and Martin. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm relieved to hear that it's a living document, because, as you know, you were both in the room for the previous item where we're talking about how variable our summers have been, and I think we need to be able to be flexible. But how do you see the interaction of this governance group with the living part of that document? Are we going to be having opportunities to review parts of it? Will that be done by at the moment destination Hauraki Coromandel, or after the review if that changes, if you could just make a comment on how that living is going to be seen by us. Sorry.
Sure. Yeah, I think we'd take your instruction on that, on the level of involvement you want to have in the plan in the future. If it's something that goes to the Sustainability Resilience Committee, if there is, if it's quarterly, every 6 months, yeah, we'll happy to take your guidance.
Thank you, Mitch. Peter, please.
Thanks, Celine. Bit like the curate's egg, I reckon. But so in the sense there was a lot in this report in the document that I think is good stuff, and I can see the benefit of having a document like that, which outlines to anybody who wants to read it, but in particular government, that this is, hey, where we're tracking. When I look at the report on page 485, 486, clearly what Destination Hauraki Coromandel have done is pulled into one spot the things that are important to, that we see as being important for this place as a destination. And I acknowledge that there has been some change in some of those over the last few months, and that's really good. However, and in those things, there are some things that are already underway, and there's some things which are defined as being sort of in concept. It distresses me when I look at that list that for Thames, what we have there outlined in the concept is the Grahamstown precinct and what have you, which is one that's been talked about a lot. But we don't have the Koronga River Trail flagged there as just an orange dot, or on page 486, or as just a bullet point on 485. And it seemed to me that in the discussions that our community board has had, and in the things that have been brought to council, both of those things are things that are known as concepts of where we want to track. And it distresses me that in the final version of this document, something as fundamental as that is not flagged. We know there's a huge journey to go on both those things, as funding and all that sort of carry on, but it certainly is what the Thames Ward is what the Thames Community Board is kind of see as their big things that they'll be wanting to make progress on. And I'm wondering, and they're not there, and I'm wondering why is that not being picked up, and and then that, so it all frustrates me.
I think that those frustrations are fair. I guess the challenge for Destination Hauraki Coromandel through this process is that, without making excuses for it, is to acknowledge that this is the first time they've been asked to go and consult and engage with the community. And we know in local government how difficult that can be sometimes when you go and consult with a group and you hear their voices and you incorporate their voices into a document, but you haven't fully captured the desires of the community. So I think that the living part of this is probably the most important part, and it would be so simple to keep this as an updated document, and if there are items that are you see they're essential for them to be in there, then I'm sure it's something that can continue to work on. But it was a time and a place, and also remembering that Thames is one of the communities across the Coromandel and Hauraki that they've made an effort to incorporate the vision of, and almost none of the other destination management plans in the country went to this level of detail. Most of the other DMPs really took a high-level strategic vision and set some 3 or 4 strategic goals for their RTO area, and didn't delve into a ward or settlement level of vision at all. And so I think that by attempting to do a really good job here, DHC have probably gotten themselves a little tangled, I guess, in trying to capture all of the visions of all of the communities. But yeah, it's something that can be continued to develop.
So thank you for that, but it doesn't help me.
Thank you. I have Martin and then John Grant, please.
Thank you. I have lost count of the number of times that we've been asked to comment on this, and we've said a very, very specific KPI that is in there should not be in there, and the most recent version still has it in there. And can please somebody take out the KPI of Coromandel Kiwi population numbers? It is irrelevant. It is deeply annoying that it is still there after it's been told numerous times to take it out, and it hasn't even got it whether they're going up or down. So I will be very happy if that is no longer in there. I realise they're going to quite a level of detail, but take it out, please, please, please take it out. And I support Peter's comments about aspirational things like a river trail, and I would like to see way more cycle and walking trails being on that. I think probably our whole council could agree that that would be a great thing to have in a management plan. Thank you.
Just a reminder though, that this is a document that has been created jointly with the community. And so it's not a council document and strategy. And so there will be things that are in there that have been included because of the people that they've engaged with. And so we will feed that back to DHC, but it is a shared document.
So just to clarify, we'll get you 2 seconds. Who owns the document? Is it DHC or is it council? Who owns the document?
So the document's a shared document through all the engagements. So it's because it's a plan. It's on all different stakeholders to be able to support the plan in their specific areas. So from a council perspective, just referring to with the walking and cycling and the trails, we do have the acting biking strategy, which incorporates those specific projects as part of the walking and cycling aspirations, and that feeds into how we help with that side of things. With businesses as well, it's about how they're able to have an idea about how they can better manage tourism coming into the area and doing that in a sustainable way, and managing the experience that visitors have. So and then you have the environmental groups and people coming and experiencing the environmental side, like with the Kiwi. There is a lot of Kiwi groups that have sort of like an environmental visitor perspective, and it's about what value and how they can demonstrate they're helping to manage the destination better as well.
And so the entire DMP process has come out of the Tourism Aotearoa strategy, which supports thriving and sustainable regions, that the tourism sector productivity improves, that New Zealand Aotearoa delivers exceptional visitor experiences, that tourism protects, restores and champions New Zealand Aotearoa's natural environment, culture and historic heritage, and New Zealanders' lives are improved by tourism. So the philosophy of the Tourism New Zealand strategy and also the tourism industry strategy is all about sustainability and about low tourism impacts and about restorative tourism. And so the kiwi is an indicator species, I guess, and it's something that we obviously value, and it's unique to us here on the Coromandel. And if restorative tourism is doing its work, and the partnership DHC had with the predator-free Hauraki Coromandel was functioning well, and money from tourism was returning to those predator-free groups to support their activities, then having more kiwi would be an indicator that tourism is not having a negative impact on the ecological environment.
Thank you.
So that's kind of the the long way round.
I begin to see
Yeah.
some of the dilemma that DHC have found themselves in, because it's more confusing the more you hear about it. John, please.
Look, I would start by saying congratulations to the authors of this for at least putting something in writing and putting it together. As far as engagement with the community, I'm not quite sure how that has happened, because I haven't found anybody in the Mercury Bay area, for example, who supports the content that is in here in relation to Mercury Bay. So, and that's a widespread group of people, you know, and I'm not sure if you were present at the meeting that they had with the Mercury Bay Business Association, one of their BA5s that made it abundantly clear that they were just really not engaging at all from a community perspective. But constructively, I think it's a great starting point. And I think it being a living document is the indication that it needs to get some oxygen into it to actually start breathing and come to life. And I think to do that, it needs to change quite considerably and accept that that's part of the review that is now taking place, because it's a huge part of our expenditure. And I look at those numbers today with every element of concern that I had beforehand with the qualitative information that I was getting from the Mercury Bay tourism support businesses, who were telling me that they had a great summer, but the long-term nature of bookings and the dollar spend was just not there. And that's sort of what we're now starting to see. And that's the fundamentals that need to be really driven from a destination management plan as to what is the sustainability of this business, of this area. And I think I'd pick up on the words that you said, Mitch, that I totally agree with, and that is simple is sometimes better, because it lays the foundation. If you try and lay a foundation which is very broad and detailed, you open yourself very much to a lot of criticism. And sometimes you just need those pillars in place that everybody can look at and go, yep, I agree with those things. And fundamentally, you know, we live in such a beautiful place that we have so much on offer to everybody. It's a case of getting the balance right between how many people we need coming in to sustain the economy locally, at the same time making sure that we sustain the environment that we have in place. So, you know, to me, that is the fundamental foundation of the document that we need to have, and then that requires a heck of a lot of discussion and involvement. And I think that would create that with all of the groups that would want to participate in those. But to come out with a document which only in the last few months have we actually interacted with Destination Hauraki Coromandel, and that changed Whitianga from an education centre to now having it shown as Cathedral Cove, and Hauraki from water, which I'm still not quite sure which of the three waters it was particularly referring to now also being Cathedral Cove, I think shows that it's a document being put together on the run rather than having the firm foundations that we need to develop on. So it's not a question, totally supporting everything that is being done. I think collectively as a team together, it's something that you can see from the passion that everybody's talking here, that they want to engage and they want to be part of it, they want to develop it, and I think we should own it. You know, I really do. I think, you know, I think they are the arm that can support us, but ultimately it should be with us. Be my tuppence worth as well.
Thank you, John. Very good analysis, and I picked up on a couple of things. Getting balance right, I think, is critical. owning it and having that deeper engagement. But I do feel for DHC, and the more I hear about what's underneath and behind it and what the objectives that they were given, the more I feel for them and trying to put this together. Robin, please, and then Reka.
In the spirit of being able to be constructive about this, my question earlier was how to keep this document alive. I wondered whether we should have an additional resolution that requests further updates on the Destination Management Plan, as you suggested, to come through the Sustainability and Resilience Committee. Because I think just listening to what John's saying, the absolutely true. I think being able to own this document and treat this document as a discrete piece of work that we have adopted and agreed to and can breathe life into and change and adapt. I think it's really important to have a place to hold that so that we can hold Destination Hauraki Coromandel in a different space. Because, I'm really aware that we've got a review going on at the moment, and the thing that I would really not like to happen is have one piece of work that we own that is important to what we do, that is shared across us and a different district, to be the one thing that we judge the performance of our CCO on. So just a recommendation from either you, Lorna, or Aileen, as to whether we should specifically request that the Destination Coromandel Management Plan comes back to the Sustainability Resilience Committee as part of the regular economic update that we receive at that committee.
Sorry.
I know it's policy on the hoof, and I don't like that.
It's the scope of the committee that I'm just questioning, because what I'm hearing is that this is of importance to council, not necessarily a committee, and I just question the ED focus of the committee as to whether in fact that should be council. So I don't have a view. I'm just
no. Well, in that case, would it be more appropriate for it to come back to here? I'm just really aware that I don't want this to be put on a shelf and for us all to forget about it, and for it not to receive the life that it deserves.
Thank you, Robin. Reka, please.
So following on from your comment, mine was really going to be around the recommendations and the fact that we have this review, and the fact that I'm sensing there's a lot of uncomfortableness with what is potentially a good foundation, but needs some serious structure and work on top of that, is whether we would just take option one, sorry, my computer's just gone to sleep, recommendation one, and just receive the report, but not receive the plan, potentially look at revisiting that after we've received the outcomes of the review. So that, I don't know if that, again, is policy on the hoof and we feel a bit uncomfortable. I would feel uncomfortable receiving this when we have this impending review in the background. Thank you.
Well, can somebody turn off? Thank you. Yeah.
So if I just comment, it isn't policy on the hoof because Lorna's already thought about it and has a potential position.
So just to bring everyone up to speed, in preparation for this discussion, the team have prepared Ari with some alternative wording which essentially resolves to defer receiving the Destination Management Plan until the review of the Destination Hauraki Coromandel is completed, and then I'm guessing we add and report that back either to Council or Sustainability and Resilience, depending on the guidance that we've had from Aileen and the feeling around the table. But so there is the draft wording of an alternative or an additional resolution that's been prepared in advance. So I'm interested to hear your thoughts on that. Sorry, Terry, we've just got Reka.
Oh, I'm finished. Can you see that draft word?
And then Martin had a comment, and then we'll come to you. Thank you. Oh, okay. Okay, so Terry, please.
Thank you. So yes, thank you. I support the plan. I support what John's saying, Councillor Grant. I think they were funded to do the plan, and they've done the plan. They've actually done the work. to put it out there. They've got the headwinds in there, and it talks about securing funding to execute the plan. So that's obviously down the track. So that's not going to do anything until that money's arrived anyway. But I think I went to some of the meetings that they went along to and had a talk with the locals about some of their issues. They aren't broadly into the communities, like they say, they just pick in where they think the tourism is or where the actions are around the places to attract tourism. And I think they've put those initiatives in there. Some of them are aspirational, you know, some of them are working with, they know other people are going to do. But it was enough, I'm sure, to appease those at government that wanted them or the tourism industry wanted them. So I support the plan as it is, and let the reflection on their future be another issue. Thank you.
Thank you, Terry. I think what you're saying is right. I think the concern is that there is some conflicted objectives in there, and there's quite a few gaps. And the gaps seem to have come from probably a need for deeper engagement with specific parts of the stakeholders and the particularly the operators and the people that are directly involved with this. So the feeling I'm getting is that there is a number of gaps that need to be addressed before this is finalised. Is that a fair assumption? Needs more work? Okay, so the proposed wording, if you look at the screen, we've got that up there now. We receive the report and then defer, or sorry, we defer option 2, defer receiving the DMP plan until the review of Destination Hauraki Coromandel is completed and report back to council. So what that does is that essentially combines the DMP, the Destination Management Plan, and the review of Destination Hauraki Coromandel. That could be official in that. So I think as a council, we probably need to be very mindful that we are combining the two. And I'd appreciate some guidance from Lorna and from Mitch as to whether that's a smart move or not.
No, I think that we just need to be clear that if we're just deferring receiving the DMP, that would just be receiving the DMP in its current state after the review, like the outcome of the review has been agreed by council. So if, yeah, the recommendation would be that, yeah.
So what we could do is receive the plan as it is at the moment, and that means that the wording of option 2 needs to be changed, because if we adopt option 2, then we're cancelling out option 1. So we receive the plan and then understand that there needs to be some more discussion and some more work. The report. Oh, thank you. Yes, absolutely. Yep. Okay, so I'm going to put option 1 just to get that off the table. Can I get a mover and a seconder, please?
We've
just
got
to
that
receive
already.
The
Through the chair, we do have one.
All right, those in favour of option 1?
Aye.
Thank you. So that's done. And then we receive the plan and defer. No, that just needs to be tidied up. So defer adopting the plan. Should we change it to adopting the plan?
Press your button.
Sorry, through the chair, it would be receiving the report and the plan. The review is separate, and then we would come back, like the actual management plan would come back to be reviewed, like to be, whoever's looking after the plan will come back with an updated one, but you'd have to put some timeframes as to when you would like that brought back to you, so we can do more of a review on the plan and bring it back.
So we don't have to do anything more than just
receive
the management plan report, which we've done.
Yes.
Okay.
And
we know that review is already underway.
Yes.
Just one option, I guess, or one thought that I'm having is that because this is a shared document with also Hauraki District Council, and if there are elements of the plan that we're not happy with or we want changed, but there are elements that we are happy with, that we recommend to DHC that the elements that we're satisfied with, the higher order objectives, are retained in the plan. And then any more detailed settlement level objectives that we're not satisfied with, we pull out of that plan and we keep of our own, I think. And it's just an option. I think if we're going to want to keep working on it, it's yeah. Yeah.
So it's a living document, it's a work in progress. You guys have heard very clearly from councillors that this work needs to be done on that, so long as we give ourselves the flexibility to do the review and to work on the plan. Are we comfortable with that? Deli, please.
But what might fall out of the review is that Thames Coromandel wants a destination management plan of its own, which isn't in conjunction with Hauraki District Council. Yes, but I'm just pointing out that, you know, your comment about chopping it up, I'm not comfortable with the plan. I'm happy to receive it, but that doesn't mean that I'm happy to adopt it.
Thank you. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's where we've landed on that council is happy to receive it. We're not ready to adopt it in its current form. We know that there's more work. So could I have Robin and then Peter?
Well, that is all we've been asked to do. So we've received the report about the report, but I see that number 2, the black text there has been taken out, that we haven't actually, and there doesn't seem to be a proposal to receive the destination management plan. So I would quite like to do that, because I think in the spirit of moving forward, we should, because this is a document. It could change it, well, not quite at a moment's notice, but, you know, just an acknowledgement that we can receive it, and then it lives and it goes. The other thing that I just wanted to reflect on is that, you know, this is a plan that's between the 2 districts, and I wondered if at some stage, you know, if there's going to be further talk about that, whether we should actually be talking with them as 2 governance arms.
So we can set that up. There's not, yeah, I'm having a chat with Toby tomorrow, so we can set that up. Peter, please.
Yeah, thanks. So just 2 things. If we receive the report, no, let me step back. At which point is Destination Hauraki Coromandel going to send this plan to the government to satisfy what they've done it for? That's my first question.
Well, there's no submission of the plan. The plan will be used to support and advocate to government. So I think that that's sort of if and when. There is like work building at the moment around Cathedral Cove, around the issues that are important to the Coromandel from an advocacy position with central government that the DMP will be used for. But I see it again that just persisting.
I might just add to that, there is policy direction that's being formulated in Wellington around destination management planning and what it will mean for districts. And so we are anticipating, and again, we're not getting any sort of clear direction, but there could be some, you know, like there's the Tourism Infrastructure Fund, there may be some other sort of tourism related funds that come up that will help with our destination management planning. One of the other things the Tourism Minister did talk about was the tax that comes in from international visitors and how that is allocated around districts. And so destination management plans will be important if we've got a case to argue around where that investment might be.
And just a reminder that the higher level objectives are regional access and signage, road, sea and air, whole region walking and biking tracks, storytelling initiatives, and the Cathedral Cove Reimagination Project. So they are the RTO high level priorities that have been identified in the DMP.
Thank you. So just Wellington's not expecting Destination Hauraki Coromandel to deliver a plan to which they is proof that they've spent the money that they were given to do it. They just are happy to know that a plan exists. So, and therefore us receiving the plan, what does that mean to Destination Hauraki Coromandel?
The plan has been presented to council, like for your information. And so the plan already exists and it is out there in the ether. Receiving the plan doesn't, to my knowledge, change or influence the existence of the plan.
I think also it's not saying that Destination Hauraki Coromandel are, they have just been the provider of the plan. Whoever manages destination management for, and there's RTOs that do that all around the country. In some areas, councils do it in-house. So there's different ways that we manage destination management around the country. So Destination Hauraki Coromandel at the moment hold that function.
And other councils have endorsed the destination management plans around the country, not all of them, but Queenstown and others. And I guess that that council has got to the stage where they have enough confidence in the plan that they formally endorse it.
Sure. Okay. And so then finally, my final statement, picking up on Councillor Grant and Councillor Walker's comments. I probably sit here thinking I'm prepared not just to receive it, but to support the plan because of the importance of it, to say that we as a council support the plan, but I'd only do that if there was another orange dot stuck on it.
I'm not sure how practical that is at Delhi.
The original resolutions had nothing about support with respect, and I'm happy only to receive the report and receive the plan and have nothing about supporting it.
Thank you. Please.
So in my view, we fund DHC and therefore we're associated by implication. So I'm not actually sure it's that material whether we receive, support, endorse. We fund them, they've done it, it exists. End of story.
We'll go to John and then I think we'll put the motion in.
In fact, I was just about to say something very similar to what Aileen has just said, that we are the major funder and the ears should be flapping in the from the comments today, and hopefully they're online and listening, that and the message that I hope that they receive from that is we're extremely supportive and we believe very strongly in a destination management plan. We are so enthusiastic that we want to be more involved in this and help with the fundamental development of it to a level that we can be more comfortable with what it says. And if we can achieve that, then that's a really great result.
Thank you, Councillor Grant. So I'll ask for a mover and a seconder, please, to receive the plan. Councillor Grant, Councillor Rodley, all those in favour? Those against? That's carried. Thank you, team. Work in progress. Cheers.
Thank you.
We'll come to Chief Executive report, please.
Right, so it doesn't seem like very long ago that we last did one of these, so it's a slimmed down version, but you do get to see the financials again 4 weeks after the last time. Last time there was a question around the revenue shortfall around waste. So just to let you know, we're still investigating that. At the moment, we're doing a data reconciliation, which should be complete by the end of March. So I would expect we would have something to you in the April meeting. But I'll hand over on the financials now to Hayden.
Yeah, I'll take the report as read. I guess just some of the highlights. We're showing $1 million unfavourable position, but that's largely due to our capital income. and that's really tied to our the timing of our project. So it's really just a timing sort of issue there. Our underlying position, our operating position, which is the most, well, they're both important, but which is important, is that it's shown that we're $3.8 million favourable, with most of the activities on budget, and only wastewater being slightly unfavourable, and that's due to the timing again of the desludging program. So we're just ahead of schedule on that in terms of how we'd phased it in the budget. So we're currently doing a half-yearly reforecast whereby we'll get some of these phasing sort of things fixed up, and yeah, we'll be able to sort of report and take some of that sort of phasing noise out of the results. In terms of CapEx, we're a bit behind, but we've had a number of sort of presentations on that from Glenn and Lorenzo recently. And our debt, we reported on that at the Audit and Other Risk and Assurance Committee. It's yeah, we've currently got $79 million of external debt. However, $6 million of that is just pre-funded. And in terms of rates, debtors, they're sitting comparable to the previous year. Obviously, there's an increase in rates each year, but our underlying sort of calculations look like we're on track there as well.
Thank you, Hayden. I'm going to ask for a couple of updates, please, or just, you know, updates in the document. One is page 490. First of all, the Thames Coromandel connector bus, that's been extended to June. So just a minor update on that, please.
So I'll come, I haven't finished.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Hayden's doing the finance piece, then I'll come back to the rest.
I'll shut up there. Any questions of Hayden on those, specifically on the financials?
Yeah, just a brief one. And I think we've talked about this before, but on the rates age balance on 4506, it would be helpful just for, because obviously the absolute amount of rates we take each year is increasing. So it'd be useful to know what the percentages are for those on top of those those bar charts, right? That, you know, that we're sitting at, you know, the rates outstanding are 98%, or, you know, just so we can compare them percentage wise.
Yeah, no, that's yeah, easily done. Yep.
Any further questions on the financials? Back to Aileen.
Okay, thanks, Hayden. Go back to work now.
Oh, I'm sorry, Terry.
It's around the development contributions. Yeah, so they're obviously down, and it's obviously, well, I'm presuming it's development. How do you see them forecasted?
Yeah, they're a really tricky one to sort of budget. So basically what we do is we tend to budget based on historicals. You know, we set a budget, we look at our last 10 years, and yeah, they are down at the moment, and it really depends on what developments in the pipeline and what comes through. There are some developments sort of happening, so hopefully we will. In the pipeline. Yeah, whether they land this year or not is another question. If we are short in development contributions, though, it really just rolls over to the next year, because we loan fund DCs, and then when the DCs roll in, they pay down those loans, or they go into reserves and wait. So it's a bit of a timing issue, really. Yeah.
Thank you. Terry, just click your button, please, if you don't mind. Okay, back to Aileen.
Okay, so road to recovery, we were scheduled to meet Minister Mitchell earlier in the month, and we were bumped by the Port Hills fire, but we did manage to meet him last Thursday with several councillors. Had a relatively constructive and warm meeting, but we were no closer to discovering the whereabouts of the $1 billion Resilience Fund. However, in the GPS that was released yesterday, Councillor Martin drew our attention to the paragraph that did refer to a separate funding source. So we're hopeful that perhaps that's that funding source. So Stephen will be over shortly just to have a talk through our submission to the RLTP and just give you analysis of how that lands in terms of the GPS. Just to note, we're continuing to work on the Adams Road slip, and I envisage a report to you in due course about how that's tracking. I seem to have a backwards agenda. I'm reading it backwards, but so sorry, I'm a little bit lost here. Okay, so Three Waters, just giving you a brief update there on how that's tracking. So we've had the legislation through. The previous legislation is now repealed, which made us legal again for our long-term plan, which is a relief. So we're expecting to see legislation mid this year that sets out the framework around what the future service delivery might look like, and then further legislation being developed over the 12 months after that. On the 11th of March, we have a Mayoral Forum, and at that Mayoral Forum, there's going to be discussion around what they're calling Waikato Waters Done Well. And I did mention to you that we were putting in a little bit of money there to do some modelling of some different scenarios for the Mayoral Forum to consider. That's developed up a bit further, and the papers will be coming through shortly for that Mayoral Forum. That will probably be of interest to folk.
Could I just quick question around the Three Waters? Yeah, so CoLab, you say, is driving this or managing this. Did we have representation on that, or are they just doing it from a high level and bringing those mayors into the discussion? How's that been formulated? They're doing it on behalf of the Mayoral Forum. Right.
So when the Mayoral Forum was sitting there going, right, we need to do all this work, how are we going to do it?
Yeah.
CoLab said, oh, we can help. And so it was, they're driving it.
Right down to decisions about who should sort of form with who in terms of council?
No, they're pulling together the scope of the project,
right,
and funding the modelling, pulling data together, right, and that will be what comes back to the Mayoral Forum.
Okay.
We made a comment in here about just delaying our Section 17A review for yesterday's GPS. So we'll, over the next few days, we'll work out what that means, if anything, and bring that 17A review back in April. I think I'll take the rest as read, but I noticed Mayor has a question around the connector bus. So we have extended that, but having had a quick read of the GPS yesterday, it doesn't feel like there's much chance of this extending, sadly. But we'll, once we've had more time to digest it, we'll be able to form a better view on that.
So an unanswered question in my mind is, there has already been some work done on this with the Regional Land Transport Committee. The question that I'm going to have of the committee is, will the work that they have already been done be able to progress around this area, or will it be basically scrapped by the GPS? And I don't know the answer to that at the moment. So I guess I'm hoping that there'll be some independent funding that survives through that RLTP, but we don't know. It's not feeling particularly hopeful at the moment, but we'll see what happens. Martin, you had a question, and then Terry, please.
Yeah, Aileen, can I just get you to put your crystal ball reading skills on? Around the Three Waters, do you get a feeling that if little projects like this, like the Waikato Waters Done Well, if a number of those are done around the country, that our new coalition government may welcome those with open arms, as far as, oh good, here's, that's work that government doesn't have to do, and they may well look to try to take that as a piece of work and adopt them? Or do you think that they've got a really clear idea about what they want to do and they're going to impose it from above? Time starts now.
Yeah, that's a hard question. What we're hearing is that the government would like regions to organise themselves. So that's definitely the ambition, is that the regions will organise themselves. But we also heard that at some stage that plan needs to go forward to a minister for an approval, and the minister may or may not approve it, depending on the content of it.
Just in addition to that, I think the question in the back of my mind is not so much will the government approve the plans, but if we don't go forward as part of that plan, if we as a council decide, no, this is not for us, where does it leave us? And will whatever our alternative proposal is, will that be supported and enabled by the government, or will they step in and say, no, you're not doing that? And the reason I say that is because one option that we have is going it alone, staying outside of whatever's proposed in the Waikato collaboration and just saying, we are Thames Coromandel, we'll stay as we are, thank you very much. And whether that would be accepted by the government. So would we be out on a limb? Who knows? And that's the unanswered question in the back of my mind. Terry and then Peter.
Yeah, just a couple of questions on your points you've made. The representation review. Councillor Gottlieb certainly asked to make sure that we get that to the non-resident ratepayers. I think that's quite a big project to put together, but if they can be remembered in that discussion, I think that's really important. Long-term plan, you talk about a video. How will that be released? It'll be, the communities get it as a link, or how will that be taken out?
Yes, it will be. We did one sort of, I think it's a pre-engagement or pre-sort of education in October with Medellin, and this is another one with ARCE and the Mayor. It's a bit of a Q&A from what we've heard already, and putting together a bit of a signposting of the document. It's being released on Friday. It's just going through the last look through legal and PR and sign off before it goes out on Friday. So we'll be sharing it through a whole bunch of different channels.
That's
final sign off, please.
I said yeah, but it's got to go through legal and PR first before it gets to you guys.
Great. And the last one's around the Thames Sport and Aquatics program. You've obviously done some work around this, so I don't know what the feedback from the locals is on the expectations. But this local project is coming up for some more community consultation on which preferred site. What's the next steps?
Business case.
A business case. Has the community had an input so far in terms of options?
Shall I keep answering? Yeah. No, I mean, all the way through, right from user requirements, feasibility. There has been a community panel, which has consisted of a community board member or two, representatives from a number of sports clubs, from schools, from pool users, staff. Have I missed anything?
Right. And you're down to 3 options, are you?
And feedback from public.
And feedback from public. Yeah, and so the options at our last community board meeting was do a feasibility study, a business case study on Thames local pool at the Thames High School, or a larger pool out at Kopu South. But obviously both those business cases they'll be compared against each other, but as any business case will always have what are the implications of not doing anything.
Okay.
Yep, I believe. Yeah, I think it's safe to say yes.
Peter, did you?
Yes, thanks. Page 490, section 17A review. And I was a little bit surprised to read that it's made good progress. And I know Councillor Gottlieb and myself were the council representative designated to be part of that review, but unless I've missed something, I have not heard anything since February last year, probably. Specifically I've not been involved in any meetings about the review or how it's going, and I just am wondering, is it being taken into a different context or a different, in particular the resilience thing, and therefore the input from and the oversight that Councillor Godley and myself would be providing is now redundant or not appreciated or
It's always appreciated.
Not wanted.
So we brought it into the council context. So we've had a couple of workshops with Morrison, Lowe and Mo, who presented the findings of the report and the direction of it. And we had, I think we've had 2 workshops on it. And did it come to council, Mo? I think it, no, when did it? We brought it to workshops. Yeah, so there's been at least 2 workshops with council on it, and it was intended, we should have brought it to council for final sign off already, but we just paused it to see what the GPS was doing and just understanding the scale of that resilience project. And we need to review it on, I can't tell you what the impact of the GPS is yet. So we intend to bring it back in April once we've done that for final sign off by council.
I note the comments of Peter, so likewise.
So 30th April meeting, at which time council will have a chance to evaluate the findings of the 17A plus the impact of the GPS. Is there going to be another meeting between the 2 councillors and the team working on that before then, or have we moved past that? We're at the final stages of bringing something to council.
So I think the intention was, yes, we were past that. So we've had 2 councillors involved in the early stage, and then it came to council for workshops, and we were about to bring it to council when we said, hang on a minute, we've got this GPS coming, let's just hold it out for a month just to determine whether there's any impact. If there is significant impact, we could either bring it back to council for more discussion, or we could involve the 2 councillors. But at this stage, I don't even know if there's even any impact on what we're proposing.
My feeling is that there's been quite a lot of time between the last workshop and coming to council, and there's been a lot of other stuff happening in the meantime, and somewhere in the middle that it's gotten a bit lost in terms of the minds of the councillors. Is that what you're saying, Peter?
That's what it appears to me. I would agree with that sort of summary. It started off with us in a roar. Well, we had 2 meetings, and then exactly as you say, it's disappeared somewhere from.
It feels like a bit of a victim of all the other stuff that's been happening in the meantime. And
it's not the only thing I feel.
What was discussed at the last workshop?
Through the chair, it came at the 21st of November workshop.
21st November, thank you. John and then Rekka, please.
Just my standard question in regard to request for service. How is that project progressing, and current results? Just a bit of flavour on that would be good.
Through the chair, it's progressing reasonably well. We have started through with the template reporting through the different departments. So Parks and Reserves are working those through at the moment. We have already seen through, we're doing monthly audits now, and we've been sharing the results with the different group managers to show what is good and what is needing improvements. We're already seeing through the customer services team the way that they are gleaning the information from the customers are improving, so that they're actually getting more information from the customers to make a better way of responding. And also there has been a reinstatement with all of the subcontractors meetings about how to communicate back responses and more education around that. So we'll be bringing the findings and the program of work to the leadership team at the end of March, and then we'll go on to council to show how the improvements have been made, and going around all the community boards. So there'll be regular reporting to the community boards about the RFSs in their area and how they have been either triaged or where they've been moved through to. So it gives a bit more of an understanding to the community board about what the pressure points are in their area. And then we'll be doing, once we feel confident, we'll be doing more of a public education campaign around the RFS system to the general public.
Terrific. That's great. No, very encouraging.
Thank you, John. Rekka, please.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, and I'm not quite sure of the time frame around, has there been interest in the Thames Visitor Centre, expressions of interest? Can we maybe not comment?
Yeah,
right now,
there has been 4.
Oh,
one
good.
local media's acknowledged the 2 publicly, but there are another 2 who have put in expressions of interest. So the process will be that we now just pull together a report that will go to the Thames Community Board, and they will give us a recommendation that we'll bring onto council so that we can have a clear path before 1st of July.
Perfect.
Also, the person in our team who manages the information centres has been going around to all of the existing providers and talking to them, and also talking to the local community boards about sort of what the aspirations are around information centres, what they would like to see in their community as well. So there's that part is in progress too.
Oh, excellent. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything further? Just a final comment or an observation on the Three Waters. First of all, can I ask Aileen, the work that is being done by CoLab and preparation of reports back to the Mayoral Forum, at what stage are we able to get something to councillors so that councillors have some visibility over what's being proposed and what the options might be? And you may not know the answer to that question because this work's being done by CoLab and the team.
Yeah, it's been done by CoLab with the chief executives of the region. The governance has, so the Mayoral Forum has selected a couple of councillors, a couple of mayors as kind of the project oversight, and the CE Forum has a couple of CEs as part of the project oversight. So I think I saw some documents last week that outlined the scope, and that included things like, is it Three Waters or is it Two Waters? Is it all of the Waikato? Is it the Waikato Bay of Plenty? Or is it Hauraki and Waikato River? So it looks at those sorts of issues. Our data only went in last week. Hopefully it went in, Hayden's left us. I think it went in on Thursday or Friday last week. So as soon as we start to see some stuff coming back, that would be the time for us to talk about it. And Mo and I have been talking about, it's moving quite quickly, so staying over it is actually quite tricky when you're in the final throes of LTPs and so on. But we need to come back to council and potentially come up with a bit of a position for yourself to be able to take to the Mayoral Forum.
But that's the bit that concerns me slightly. As a mayor, I really don't want to be going to the Mayoral Forum and saying this is our position without having had the opportunity to bring this to council. This is really pointy end. This is going to be important stuff in terms of our future position on Three Waters, and there'll be some fairly significant implications. So I'm slightly anxious about the timing of this, what it might mean, and we may be coming to you, Aileen, and saying, look, this is the Mayoral Forum pathway. Before we get to there, we might have to ask you to bring councillors together in one way or another so that we can get this in front of councillors, and it'll put a fair bit of pressure on councillors to go through this stuff and make sure that I'm going to the Mayoral Forum with the right guidance and we're heading in the right direction. We don't want to get this wrong, is really what I'm saying. So thank you. Okay. Anything further for Aileen? Okay, there being none, I'm going to move her in a seconder, please, for the, so Rika and Deli, all those in favour? Thank you. Thank you, Aileen. That's fantastic. The next one, I think, is just the Mayoral Report, which is an update on appointments and movements. I'll take this as read. I'll move it be received. Can I get a seconder, please? Any further discussion on that? Robin, please.
Yeah, just the one thing, when you met with Minister Mitchell, Councillor Grant and Councillor Sinclair were there, as was Councillor Morrissey. He's missing from the official record.
Thank you. Could we just get that updated, please? Thank you. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Thank you. I need a mover and a seconder, please, to go to public excluded. Rebecca and John, all those in favour? Thank you. We'll take a few minutes just to prepare ourselves. Public excluded.